to the new webinar for the Documentary Filmmakers Association. First of all, if you are not a member, most of you are members, but if you are joining this webinar and you are not a member, we encourage you to become one, and you can follow the instructions and all the requirements in the website from the Documentary Filmmakers Association. And you can benefit from being part of this amazing network of filmmakers. We support each other, and we talk about films, and we share knowledge like in today's webinar. Today's webinar particularly is about how to record good sound on mobile devices. Sound is very important. People or audiences, many times they don't care much if the quality of the image is not good, but if it doesn't sound good, then it is a problem. So today we have 4 speakers that are going to help us to understand how to obtain and capture professional quality sound on mobile devices. And they will take us from the technical side of it to post-production side of it and more practical scenarios and the why and how to use this kind of devices to get our footage. One suggestion, if you are going to contribute and make a question, please switch on your camera. We would like to see your beautiful faces and not have just black screens with names, which is fine because we see quite a few of you. But if you are collaborating or contributing with a question, you can also post it on the chat if you prefer, and we will formulate it. And the format of today's webinar, we have 4 speakers, and we are gonna give some time to each of them to present their talk. And after each speaker, we will have a short Q&A. And afterwards, at the end of the webinar, we will have a general closing Q&A to close the session. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce all our guests in order of appearance. And first of all, we have Bart Weiss. He's an award-winning filmmaker, editor, and educator with decades of experience in film and video production. He's based in Dallas in the USA, and he has taught at institutions including the University of Texas, SMU, Texas A&M, and he's the founding figure in multiple filmmaker associations, former newspaper and radio video columnist. Bart brings an international perspective on sound, storytelling, and accessible production tools. The second speaker is Bernard Mongezi Masoka. He is the executive producer and diploma in audio technology, but he's a highly accomplished broadcast sound engineer and media entrepreneur with 2 decades of experience in TV, film, and advertising industry. He's the CEO and founder of Sound and Sounds Media. It's a production company specializing in high-quality audio production and post-production. He has won numerous awards, including Gold Pro Max Award for Best Entertainment Promo on SABC2 and a SAFTA for Sound Design in TV Drama. Bernard is committed to mentorship and skills development. Through his company, he has internship programs and he has mentored over 30 engineers so far. As well, he has an array of podcasts that you can check on his production company website. Our third speaker is Jane Lipman. She is a member of the DFA, director, producer, writer, and journalist. She's a multi-award winning filmmaker and the head of Current Affairs Films, one of the South Africa's leading film and television production companies, known for her powerful storytelling and social justice issues, working with broadcasters like BBC, CBC, Channel 4, and Carter Blanche, for example. She's a passionate mentor, and particularly to young women of color, and brings decades of documentary and broadcast experience to the conversation. And our last speaker is our very own DFA board member, Kgola. She's a documentary filmmaker and editor focused on mobile storytelling and youth-led narratives. She's a board member of the DFA, and she represents emerging filmmakers in the documentary space. Working with a Pan-African non-profit organization, Neo has trained over 80 young people across Southern and East Africa to tell their stories using mobile technology. making her insights into cell phone-based production, both practical and deeply grounded. So as you can see, we have a whole array of speakers, all very amazing and experienced people. And without further ado, I'm gonna give the platform to Bart to start his presentation.
Well, welcome. It's wonderful to see you all, and thank you so much for coming. I do have a PowerPoint that I'm going to, let's see if I can figure out. Okay, here's the PowerPoint. Share. I wrote this book called Smartphone Cinema, and a lot of the material is from here. I want to go through this relatively quickly because I have some of this gear with me that I want to hold up and show you. But as you know, sound for mobile is really important. It's the one thing that Apple really didn't do when they sort of created this world where we can make films with our phones. And sound is a real problem. Of course, the distance between the voice and what's recording it is important. And so you have basically two choices of doing it using a boom or a lav. Booms sometimes are not really good, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And with everything else, before you go out and shoot, test all of your systems to make sure it's working. There's this wonderful film called Making Waves, which is about the aesthetics of sound in film and how to do it. I strongly advise you try to see it if you can. With sound, you probably know this and everybody will do this. Always better to be undermodulated than overmodulated. Once it's overmodulated, once it's too loud, you can't get it back. You should be in the green, just a little bit into the yellow, never into the red. Back in the earliest days of mobile filmmaking, Tangerine, the film that changed everything for mobile filmmaking, they used a traditional sound recordist. Using a boom pole, using a traditional sound. Nowadays, we don't need to do that. Double system is used sometime, but really very rarely. What really happened is Rode came up with these wireless microphones that were specifically meant to go into mobile. Actually, they weren't originally, but they soon became to do that. And because the Rode microphones, people thought differently and found out that there was a market in a way to have lavalier microphones that were specifically targeted for the mobile universe. And I'm going to go through a few of these, and I have them here, and I'll be able to, as soon as I get rid of this PowerPoint, to show them to you. Um, so the one on the right obviously is a boom microphone. It's a Rode microphone, and if you want to go with a boom microphone, this is really good. It has a USB-C port, and you can plug it directly into your phone. That's the Rode Mic NTG. DJI has like the cheaper microphones, which are $59, or the more expensive ones are $329. These are really good and they're very small and they plug directly into your phone. And these are probably the ones of the best quality. DJI has made the best portable mics for mobile than anybody else. And that's why I put them first in the slide. But these Hollyland microphones are really inexpensive and they work very well. And literally, the microphone is the size of a quarter. And you can just put this onto somebody and start shooting. And if you're out in the field, it's not very difficult. And if you're working with people who don't have a lot of experience, this is the easiest way. And these are very inexpensive microphones. But the best part of it is the thing on the right. These come with this little lanyard with a little magnet on it. And so what you can do is put the microphone on the lanyard and hand it to your subject and say, just put this over your neck and you can start shooting. And that means that you're not invading the person's personal space and you can just start going. And it really does a nice job, very inexpensive. You don't need very much experience. It just works and it works really well. Um, the small rig ones just came out a little bit ago. They're very much like the other ones. They have the little microphones. You see a little dot on it, and you have the receiver. The receiver goes directly in to the into your phone. I have not used these yet, but they looked really good. And this Boya one is really fascinating because it comes with these two little lavaliers, and they go into this little capsule that looks like it's a boom microphone. And you can put the two capsules in there and use it as a boom microphone. So if you're doing an interview where you're talking back and forth with somebody, you can use it like a boom mic, or you can take those things out, put it on the person, and work with them that way. So it's a really innovative, interesting kind of way of working with sound. Um, I just wanted to mention if you are using the Blackmagic camera app, which I strongly recommend using, you have to make sure you go into the audio settings and make sure you select the microphone you're using. Otherwise, you won't get any sound. Okay. It doesn't automatically do that. On the Apple native app, it does that. But when you're using the Blackmagic camera app, you have to make sure you set that. It's a problem that some students have. And the future, okay. So that's all my slides. Let me get out of share mode. How do I get out of share mode? Uh, how about if I
It should be something stop sharing.
stop sharing? Where is this? Share. Oh, stop share. I got it. Okay. Now, can you see me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me show you a few other things very quickly. One of the problems in working in the mobile space is you only have one port on your phone, one USB-C port. Lexar makes this little thing that is a hub. So you plug this one into your phone and it has two USB-C ports where you can plug something in. And it also has a 1 terabyte drive. So I put this into my phone. I now have a 1 terabyte worth of material to shoot from, but I also can put a microphone and a power supply in there. So this opens up the possibility of what you can do with your phone. Okay. Another thing you should always have when you're shooting, particularly exteriors, is a variable ND filter. One of the problems with working in mobile filmmaking is you only have one f-stop. All you can change is the ISO. And if you're in bright sunlight, you may have problems, and having a variable ND filter, and you can get some of these for like $35, and it just clips onto your phone. It's very simple. There are cases where you can get very expensive ones that look a little bit better, but just having and a variable ND filter means ND stands for neutral density, and it's like putting sunglasses over the lens. And variable means that it can be more or less that it's getting out. So you have it, instead of having just one level, it can have multiple levels, and that could be really helpful, particularly on bright daylight exteriors, and it gives you more control of what those images look like. And they're not very expensive, but it's very useful. All right. I wanted to just show you a few of the things we talked about. This is the little lanyard thing, and you just give it to somebody, have them put it over their head, and I have them put it under their shirt, and it works really well, gets very good sound. And like I said, one of the parts of doing interviews is not is keeping your interviewee less self-conscious, and doing that just makes it a lot better than, oh, can I put this on you here? And it's, just a little bit kind of awkward. What else do I have? Oh, the microphones that come with this, like I said, that's the size of the microphone. It's really small, right? And this whole package is,
Can I just ask
this
you a
is the
question?
Lark,
Can I ask a
the
question?
Hollyland.
But what was it called? The lanyard? thing that
The
you put
lanyard, that comes from the Hollyland. It's the Hollyland Mark
on?
III.
Okay. Thanks.
And here are the size of the DJI microphones. So they're also really small. Here, I'll put it right up in front of there. Okay. And it has both a clip on it, so you can clip it onto your shirt, or a magnet so you can put but if you have the magnet, all you'll see is that little gray box, right? And with the DJIs, you can either run them from Bluetooth directly from the microphone into your phone, or you can put it in this little box on your phone and it'll come through here. The advantage of this is you have volume control, so you can control the volume. Um, but having it Bluetooth just means that there's less stuff in the way. And again, you're not using that port, which means if you needed to have an external battery or something else or a hard drive, you're not using it for that port, because I'm always worried about how much material I'm putting in there. What else? I think those are the microphones that I have for you to show you. So you have a lot of options, and you just have to make sure you test them ahead of time. Any of the ones that you use will work. One of the things to think about is you don't have to worry as much as you think you have to worry. At least as much, it's much better now than it was 2 years ago, because in post-production, which somebody else is going to be talking about, you can get a lot of background noise out that you couldn't do before. You obviously want to get the best track you can get at that moment. And one of the other things that's really important is being able to monitor what you're doing, to hear what that sound is like. I'm sure other people will tell you, because once you're in that space, you're not going to know that the sound is a problem. You always want to make sure you're listening with good headphones, or if you have earbuds, you can use those. Actually, I have a hearing aid and I can send it directly to my hearing aid, which is really nice because that's right inside of my ear and I can really hear if there's a problem. But monitoring your sound is really, really important. The other thing about having headphones and monitoring your sound is that it makes you feel closer to the person you're interviewing, because you're hearing it inside of your ear and it's like they're right there. And as you're working on the film, you feel differently with that connection when you hear that way. Have I gone over my allotted time?
You have nailed it.
Oh,
If you want to include anything else, otherwise I have one question for you, or anybody can also
if
jump
anybody
in.
has a question, this would be a good time to ask.
Okay, I have one, which is we here in South Africa are constrained a little bit with budget most of the time. And
Yes.
from those options that you have mentioned, which ones are the budget friendly, the most
Okay,
affordable ones?
of course. Okay, the Hollyland are very inexpensive. And the DJI Mini is also not that expensive. Those are the two inexpensive ones. This one also is like, I think it's $70, and that's not very expensive either. I didn't show you this. So what happens here is the bottom of this just pulls off. Where'd it go? Oh. Anyway, this just is intriguing because you can do this if that's what you need to do, or you can pull these out and you can do it that way. It's just, it's an interesting and different way to do that. Um, I have to say, I've said it 3 or 4 times, I just love the idea of handing somebody the microphone and letting them put it on. It just changes the dynamic in an interesting way. And that's from the Hollyland. And I should also mention that in April, which is coming up very soon, the National Association of Broadcasting Conference comes, and every one of these companies will have new versions of whatever they have. So whatever they have now, there'll be newer ones soon, which means the older ones will probably be cheaper.
Okay. I
Okay.
also think that you can also maybe perhaps build a little cord that you can attach to the other devices, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. If you just had a little cord with a magnet on it, that's all you need is you could make that yourself. But it's kind of just a lovely thing. Um, and one other thing that has nothing to do with sound, but to me, making films with your phone is just more fun. And it's important to have fun in your life. Um, so there.
All right. Thank you so much, Bart. Does anybody has any question for Bart, or should we pass to the next speaker?
Just a quick question, Bart.
Yeah.
List of, all those different pieces of equipment and the makes. Are we going to have access to that after the webinar, guys?
I can make a list and send that off.
Could you? That would be
Yeah.
great.
Sure.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any question not in the chat, or is there any hands for questions?
Yeah, I've got a question for Bart.
Yes.
You've spoken a lot about the Apple iPhone, and here in South Africa, a lot of us have got cheaper Android Chinese phones. So I
Yes.
don't know if the tech works on them as well.
Yes, yes. As long as all of the ones that I talked about use a USB-C port, most of the microphones have you can either buy one for USB-C or use one for a Lightning port. I don't think any Android phones use Lightning ports. So it's really a matter of the port that you have on it that would be the limitation. And since they're both USB-Cs, that's not a problem. Yeah, that's not a problem. But a good question. And I am Apple centric. I'm sorry. It's just sort of like I don't know. It's a sickness, but it is what it is.
All right. So if there is no other questions for Bart, then we are gonna give the platform now. Thank you so much, Bart, for your presentation. And we are gonna give the platform now to Bernard Masoka.
Thank you so much, Pablo. Evening, everybody. I'm so honored to be here in this platform, sharing with you guys. I'm so grateful to DFF for the work that you guys are doing. I must say, this is such an important platform, especially for media practitioners. And congratulations to you guys for doing this for so many years. We need such platforms where our young people especially can be trained and we can share ideas and and just improve this industry of ours, because it has just become something that when we started, it doesn't look the same anymore. It has been infiltrated and reduced to something of it's slowly losing its fiber. So this is just to say thank you and congratulations to you guys. And without waste of time, let me try and see if I can share my presentation. Mr. Bart, thank you very much for that amazing presentation. I think you have taken most of my slides, and that's good because I can just slide through them. So I've got a presentation that we've prepared. I might just switch off my camera so that I can have the full screen and make sure that I do not miss anything. All right, there we go. All right, so there are a couple of slides here that obviously we might be skipping. Please bear with me. All right, so the first one, the introduction. Why sound matters. I must just start with this disclaimer, guys. Sound is 50% of a film experience, without any doubt. Audiences will always forgive bad visuals, animations, shaking shots and stuff, but they will never forgive bad audio. I mean, even if you can go on YouTube and listen to the most amazing performance that you can find on YouTube, if the sound is not great, you just go to the next a video, or you just lose interest. That's how much important sound is. And then the other thing is that your cell phone can record broadcast quality sound if you use it correctly. And I'm also an advocate of Apple, Mr. Bart. They say once you go Apple, you never go back. So it's definitely true. You know, it just works. And then the other thing is that as you are about to record using your cell phone, always make sure that your phone is on flight mode, because that's the other thing that people are not aware of, especially if you do not have portable devices that can allow you to monitor the sound that is coming in, because you've got your USB receiver, as Bart has previously mentioned. You don't have an opportunity to put on your headphones, so you only have a microphone and receiver that goes into your phone, so you might not be able to monitor sound. So the first thing you do, obviously, make sure that the batteries are fully charged on both your microphone, your wireless microphones, whether Rode or Holy Land, as Bart has mentioned earlier. Make sure that they are fully charged and your phone is on flight mode. Okay, and then just a disclaimer: if we cannot hear the story, we can't enjoy the film. That's a standard. Okay, then the next slide. This is also what Bart touched on earlier, using the correct microphones. We are privileged today that in the world of technology, they have significantly improved. There are a couple of amazing microphones now which are wireless, and yeah, as Bart mentioned earlier, that 3 years ago or 2 years ago we were not here. It was a mission using your cell phone. I am an advocate. I've used my my cell phone to record on many productions in the past. When you are on set, one of my other passions is in farming, and there was this one time we went to a farm, and these young guys, they have about 250 hectares of land that we went to film, and they said, no, you haven't seen anything. They took us to a different part of the area where they own about 150, where they only plant herbs, and we ran out of battery because we did not allocate that time, and we ended up using our cell phones. Our cell phones ran off battery. We ended up using their cell phones as well. We just gaffered them and put the phones in their pockets, and we recorded sound. And I'm sure I will be able to share the link of that particular episode with Pablo and the team. Then you guys can be able to watch it. But I'm so obsessed about sound that if it's not done right, in our industry, there's a saying that says, do it right or do not do it at all. So, and one of those is sound. And here's another disclaimer with sound, and when we come to post, even if your sound guy is professional and he's won numerous awards, the danger of a sound recordist on set is the fact that no one monitors what they are doing, and that is the saddest part. He's the only person, or she's the only person, who has carte blanche of what goes on that those hard drives, or that what's it? I think the SD cards. So and they never get to come and be with us in post. So there's this saying also that says, we'll fix it in post. And that has really and truly messed up the industry, because then the producers end up paying so much money with ADRs and stuff that is just to redub. So I think Mr. Bart mentioned some of these wireless microphones. The other one that I think maybe I can touch on now, it's a short shotgun microphone. And it's like a boom. So if you are in an environment where you are interviewing an individual and you are able to connect it wirelessly, it's also very important to direct your microphone. So there should be, obviously it must be off shot, and because these microphones the shotguns are directional microphones. So you almost want to make sure that the phone points at the character's face so that it's audible, and most importantly test and make sure that the quality of sound is done or is recorded properly. Okay, so Mr. Bart spoke a lot about these ones. I am not going to mention. Okay, maybe for this one, I can also mention that the distance between your mouth and your microphone, it must almost be about 15 to 20 centimeters away from your mouth. So whether it's on your left-hand side or your right-hand side or right in the middle, it must always be about 15 to 20 centimeters. Okay, I'll go to... Right. Here's another point that I wanted to make. With these portable microphones, I don't know if you guys are aware and you've also seen this. Social media influencers, that's exactly what they are using now. And they have improved the quality of their production drastically because of these mobile devices. So this is where that's the space that we need to be playing at. Another disclaimer as well. I think this I would like to also just address it to the young crowd in the call today. Just to say, even as you are starting out today, our work is so scarce that when you have a project you are working, you consider yourself blessed in this industry today. Whether in film, documentaries, commercials, it's a serious blessing because our industry has changed and infiltrated by social media, which we were supposed to be the ones who are pioneering it and making sure that we are directing the narrative. But influencers and content creators, independent content creators, have taken that space that we should have taken. But anyway, now that we are here, one of the things that our young people can do is that they need to partner up with these social media influencers because they have created a platform. They are a channel on their own. One would have almost 2 to 3 million followers on TikTok or Instagram, and that's where they are influential. But some of them, they do not have the techniques of doing it right. Some of them, they don't really care much about distortion. They don't know what distortion is. And some of you guys who are here in this call, you know what that means and how you can be able to solve those issues. So take advantage of some of these influencers, find a way, partner with them, and make sure that you get yourself out there and are productive. Don't wait to be called because you might wait. That's what they say in Afrikaans. Okay, so the other thing is that you need controlling your recording environment. Environment, guys, is everything. When you are on set or on location as a sound engineer, you need to make sure that you look out for such things like this, even as a producer, that is, because now you cannot sit there and just say, I'm a director, I'm waiting for to direct. You have to do everything else so that the production can move, or at least you should know of some of these things. Busy road, you need to avoid such. Windy areas, empty rooms with echoes, turn off fans, aircons, and television that makes noise in the background, whether it's in the other room or so you need to create an environment that is conducive, because when you do that, when you are recording in a controlled environment, that beats any kind of equipment or anything that you can think of in terms of the quality of sound that you can be able to get from that experience. All right, and then recording and cleaning dialogue. Obviously, ask the actors or the person that you're interviewing to speak clearly. Avoid whispering. That's another thing. If you do not have a device, your setup where you can be able to monitor sound, test it first, but now and again always remind them that speak louder and test before you start recording. And then these are some of the softwares that some of you guys are familiar with: CapCut, GarageBand. I wanna bring your attention to Adobe Premiere, and this is one of the platforms that you can use to clean sound. So if you had a bad day and you did not record good sound on that day, fortunately now some of these apps, they can allow you to do dialogue noise reduction at no cost to you. I'm just gonna play you this video. It's about 2 minutes. I'll cut it a minute later just so that you can see the difference. This is they've got a free version from Adobe. It's called Adobe Podcast. I'm just going to quickly play it.
Let's get started. The first platform is Adobe Podcast, and even I am using an absolutely free account. Once you go to the website, simply click on Enhance Speech. Simply drag and drop your audio right there. I'm starting with a simple one. Let's check it out. Right now I'm trying to see whether we can turn this car into a professional recording studio. I have turned everything off. The engine is off, and as a result the AC is off. There is nothing running inside of the car. And to make the audio even better, I'm holding an external microphone. As you can notice, you can always toggle between the original and the enhanced, and you have additional sliders where you can increase or decrease the background noise and enhancement of the speech. That's only available for you if you are a premium member.
All right. So you guys will go do more research on it, but basically, as you have heard, you can actually be in an environment where there's an echo. It can reduce the echo. It can take out the background noise. And I think you can also get a free version that can allow you to process audio for about an hour. That's how convenient it is. In conclusion, good sound is about planning. So your environment, again, as I said, your cell phone is powerful if you respect audio. Always prioritize sound over visuals. If the sound is clean, film feels professional. Thank you very much, guys. I don't know if there's any questions. Oh, okay, cool. So Pablo is asking about the memory card on your cell phone. I'm a firm believer that, you know, if you are going to, especially guys like us who are in production, using your iPhone, the best thing that you can do for yourself when you are especially an iPhone user or as an investment, make sure that you buy iPhone cloud storage. Because with cloud storage you can get, I think, almost about 2 terabytes if I'm not mistaken, and as you guys know that your phone now can record in 4K. You can have 2 phones. One can just record your visuals, the other one can record your audio. But when you're recording audio, I think the export that you get from voice memo, it's called I think it's M4A. So it's almost like MP3 quality. And when you bring it to any editing software like Pro Tools, you can convert that audio into WAV and Bob's your uncle. So meaning that audio doesn't take much time. So let's say, for instance, you are recording an hour-long program. That can come to almost about 250 megs of audio. So you don't have to worry about storage when you are dealing with audio. But unless then you are going to record visuals with 4K and stuff. Hence, I'm making a disclaimer about buying iCloud storage.
You can use a thumb drive to record space. So just an inexpensive USB-C thumb drive you can plug into your phone, and you can use that for both if you're shooting 4K video or anything else.
That's the one that you were showing us earlier, right?
Yeah, but you could just use just like a $10 thumb drive that you get from, you know, wherever, that plugs in there. Any thumb drive will work.
Indeed. There you go, Mr. Pablo.
Okay. Anybody else?
I've got something. Yeah, when we were talking about you, Bernard, we heard stories about how you have fixed people's mobile footage. So I was hoping you could share some of that with us. What are the kinds of things you would fix that you'd ask, are things fixable, and what are the tips?
Oh man, don't get me started. So my good friend Mabatu, who invited me to be part of this panel discussion, and I'm so grateful to her for this opportunity. The film that we were working on sometime last year, they had interviewed this lady in a bathroom, and you can imagine, there was so much echo, but because of the content of the production that they were working on, they had to film her there, and it came to our studios, and we had to then now reduce that echo, So fortunately now, through AI and using plugins like Adobe, you can actually reduce that background noise, that echo, and it almost sounds like it's in a broadcast studio, So, and it can even sound like this person is is in is a radio jock, So there are so many stories that I can share, but these nowadays you can remove crackles, you can remove distortion, you can remove echoes, like I said, and it sounds as good as new. But obviously, knowing what you are doing is very important, because sometimes it can bring in artifacts as well. So that video, there's the latter part of it that I played you guys, also shows you how it can literally remove a background noise. If like someone is singing, screaming in the background, it can literally isolate you and remove that background noise. So that's how far technology has gone. So yeah, thank you.
Without further ado, let's give the platform to Jane for her presentation.
Hi, everybody. I think, Alette, you were going to play a clip from a BBC Africa Eye film where the footage was shot on my phone. Did you have that or not?
Drew's got that. He's going to play it in, I think. Drew?
Stall the justice system, essentially. What do you know about that?
In our investigation thus far, we have not had any physical reports or...
The lack of any significant progress in the city's urban regeneration is causing tensions to boil over. And vigilante groups are now taking the law into their own hands, carrying out illegal evictions.
We are reclaiming back the streets of South Africa. We are reclaiming back the water.
In 2023, I made a film about one such group, Operation Dudula, which showed evidence of violent vigilantism, trading on xenophobia.
This is vigilantism. This one? This.
In the inner city, more than 1/4 of the population are foreign nationals.
Here as well, we could just show this little section, if you don't mind.
Operation Dudula believe these foreigners are the cause of Johannesburg's decline. They have now expanded their targets to include anyone who helps foreigners. And so our paths cross again, as I am here to meet one such target, Seri.
Good. Please us from Seri.
An organization that...
Thanks very much. So the footage you saw there of the demonstration, I shot on my iPhone, and it was all... actually, I didn't have any extra sound equipment for that. It was literally just with my phone in the streets. And and it was for Africa Eye film that went out last year on BBC World Service about hijacked buildings in Johannesburg. And what shooting on my phone and being able to go off and get that sound and that video quickly gave us was an immediacy and not having to worry about quickly booking a crew. I could literally walk out the door, and I had a call from Operation Dudula. They said, well, we're going to be in this part of Joburg, and you can come along. And I drove there, got there, and managed to shoot that footage. On that occasion, I didn't use the kind of amazing sound equipment that Bart's been showing us, and the other chap. But on a previous occasion, when I did a film about Life as a Demeni, which is a tragedy that happened in South Africa in 2016, when there was a mass relocation of people with mental health conditions, and 144 people died, and there was an arbitration hearings, and I wanted to film this and make a film. I shot the entire film on my phone, and it did go out on SAB, on the public broadcaster. It was broadcast quality. I used a tripod. I used mic. I used actually, I'm just going to show you here, if you can see that. That was attached to my phone. Can you see that? And then this was. I would also do interviews as well. I've done interviews, and this would be clipped onto the, like a lapel mic there. This is a Bodox. So you can see that. So I got those at a place in South Africa called Cameras, that do a lot of audio equipment for iPhones, and very good, very reasonable. So yeah, I mean, it's extraordinary, really. I mean, I was so fascinated by what the two previous speakers have shown us in terms of the technology and where we're at now. I mean, you've inspired me to go out again and make another film on my iPhone and rush off to Cameras as soon as possible and find out what they got. But I just want to talk about the access it gives one to shoot with a phone, and when you figure out, you test your phone, you test your equipment. Can't emphasize that enough. But when you've got that figured out and you can do that, just literally, often as one person, it is easier to have somebody helping you, but you have an ability to move around, to get access, to be that proverbial fly on the wall, and make films. I mean, that's an old-fashioned way of looking at it, but you can really, really get more intimate material often. I feel personally. I mean, you can get intimate material with a crew, but with good sound equipment and an iPhone, you can get into places you wouldn't normally get, quite frankly. And with the kind of work that I often do in South Africa and in other places in the world, if you go in, like when we did the Hijack Buildings film, when I first went into one of these buildings that was really tough, if I'd gone in with a big camera and a sound man or sound person, the guys would not have been so open to me coming in there and filming, and open to telling me their stories, and so it really does make a difference in terms of access. Yeah, I'm not a huge techie, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm not. But this is the little tripod that I used, that I got from Cameras, which is great, and I would really recommend. I really think making films on iPhones with great sound is quite revolutionary in many ways. So that's pretty much it.
I've got a question, Jane. I mean, you're a very experienced journalist as well as a filmmaker, and I was wondering, in terms of the kind of ethics of filming on a cell phone, if people are aware that they're on the BBC, for example, if you pull out your cell phone.
No, you do. I mean, you talk to people. in terms of the Operation Dodula footage, for example, we made a film with Operation Dodula about xenophobia in South Africa, and all those people on that march, a few of the leaders in that group knew me, and they knew what I was doing, and so I have a kind of uneasy relationship with them, because I'm so I've always told them, look, this is what I'm doing, and I'm filming you, and it may go out in a film, and often what you do is you will get permission on camera from somebody. Do you give me permission? What is your full name? Give me your full name. And if you do agree to going on camera, please say on camera, I agree on the spot, and then it's like a permission form in a sense, but it's a video. So we do that. Yeah. So we give people the opportunity to say yay or nay,
So because Pablo's having audio problems, I don't know if you still are, Pablo. I can read the questions in the chat.
Sorry.
Yes, I think you are still Pablo. So there's a question, Jane, you're talking about cameras, but Mark has pointed out that he thinks it's closed down. So I guess you'll have to find a new shop.
We'll have to find a new shop. Yeah, we must find a new supplier in South Africa, guys.
Yeah.
But they've moved to Randburg near Cresta, Sarah says.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. And then we've got a question from Cheryl. Jane, have you used your phone on drone? I don't know, Cheryl, if you want to come in and if you've done that.
That's a cool thing. Cheryl, do you want to let us know if you did? Can you tell us about that?
No. I was just wondering if you had attached a mobile phone. In that one shot that you had there in that clip, it looked like a drone shot, a sort of an aerial shot. So I was wondering if that was a phone shot later or something like that.
That was shot later. No, that was a separate drone operator that we hired for that film. Yeah, so we had 3 different sources of footage for that film. We had my iPhone footage, we had our camera, we had our camera person's footage, and we had a drone operator. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. I wasn't sure. I don't know. I was just wondering if you're shooting on drone, and obviously you can switch off sound if you've got an iPhone, and you're shooting at the bottom, what kind of equipment? But that makes sense. Thanks.
Bart, do you have a sense of that of sound when you're shooting with the drone?
You're still muted, Bart.
My side. Oops. Can you hear me?
Yeah? Yes. Thanks, Mark.
So yeah, we haven't used sound off drone footage really. I mean, it tends not to work. So 9 times out of 10, it's just to give you a background visual of the scenario. But if you've got some sound on the ground, it makes sense. If it's, for example, an action or some sort of a bigger protest march or something, to get the sound and match it as best you can. But it's not really critical when you're dealing with drone stuff most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, with the drone footage, we always want to, like in the Hijack Buildings film, the big thing about the drone footage was just scene setters, giving people a sense of, okay, this is Joburg, this is where the hijack buildings are, So we weren't so concerned about the sound with that.
It just shows how green I am, because I was just thinking, obviously on your phone, you can switch sound off then if you're recording footage on it, if it's in a drone. So can you just switch, you don't record the sound, or do you just do that in post?
I think, Cheryl, the weight of the drone is quite critical.
Yeah.
And the phone might be too heavy. I don't know, Mark, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, most of the time when I've shot with drones, we've used the phone as a controller. So we essentially plug the phone into a controller, but the camera isn't on the drone is not carrying the phone itself. It has its own camera and it's transmitting via a receiver to your phone as a screen, and you've got a controller below that. So that's kind of how it works. And normally you're only receiving
a low resolution version, and when the drone comes back, you're downloading the high resolution version off the stick, which is in the drone.
Great. Yeah, that's great. We were shooting on 360, and we had to take the cameras up with the drone, and then we dropped it.
Sorry, but I'm gonna be that guy on the room, and we are talking about how to record sound and not how to record on a drone. And also to keep track, and we still have one track of time, and we still have one speaker. So after Neo speaks, maybe we can talk about all of this. So if you don't mind, guys, we're gonna give the platform to Neo to speak. And thank you so much, Jane, for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Pablo, and thank you to the DFA team for this incredible opportunity. I always say that in every session that I do, it feels like I learn more from the discussions and the questions that have been asked. So today, most of the things have been spoken about. So I'll just put my presentation away and talk more on my experiences and what I have used as someone who mostly represent young people, especially emerging filmmakers who don't really have access to a lot of equipment, and a lot of young people from across the continent who either haven't used a lot of equipment and they just need like really basic stuff to record their stories and distribute them in their communities. Just for a bit of context, a lot of the short documentary stories that we do are very much focused on community development and community engagement, as well as giving that voice to young people to have to be able to be part of discussions and decision making in their community. And the best way to do that is to have that documented story, and they start conversations on that even before they start recording with their protagonist. It's always that concern that this is to open discussions and conversations and to be part of a broader decision-making process whereby they discuss solutions to whatever challenges that young people may be facing, or if it's a celebrating of culture, of identity, it is aimed at doing that. So when I started back then with mobile filming, I didn't have a lot of access to these things. So what I usually used to do was my headsets, which I don't have now. They have kind of like a round thing where you can switch and press. So that was a main speaker. So if you put it here, it will record sound very nicely. For people who want to start vlogs or want to do some social media content, it's still a useful way to do that. I don't know if it was Bernard who mentioned how a lot of young people or the industry is basically at a very difficult time now. There isn't enough work. So we gotta have to be creative in ways that we want to tell our stories or bring our voices out there. And one way can be directly just talking about whatever social justice or any conversations you want to start on the different platforms. So that is a great way to start that. And with time, I kind of like got to invest in a more, I don't know if it's visible, in the directional mic. So this is simply goes to your cell phone camera. And also to mention, recording with cell phone camera, it captures everything, and the audio is not so great because it has like a small sound system. So having a directional audio, this is a Rhodes audio recorder, kind of like helps. Because like everyone has been saying, if you have terrible sound, unfortunately, no one will want to watch what you have or see what you have. So good sound, it's most important. You can have like terrible visuals, but if you have good sound, people are more likely to forgive you. And this helps when it's windy. But I would also re-emphasize the fact that you have to look at your location and make sure that where you are shooting, like Bernard said, it is good and it's quiet, I give my facilitators or participants or emerging filmmakers like an exercise where you close your eyes and just for 30 seconds, just listen to what sounds you are hearing, because most of the time the sound that you're picking up when you're closing your eyes and just listening is the sound that is going to be picked up also on your audio. So before we even start shooting, we test do your phone on do not disturb mode. It makes a whole big difference, or flight mode. And then you close your eyes, you listen to the sounds, and you can easily then ask if there's a fridge, a TV playing, for them to like switch it off a bit for the duration of the time that you're going to be shooting. And it makes a whole lot of difference. So this one, it's more of a port. It's not a USB-C. So I have an external thing that kind of like connects it, and then I can connect it on my iPhone directly. So some have direct USB-C, iPhone connects and USB. At the time when I bought this, I got the one that had this port, and I needed this port specifically because I was using a Samsung A3. I can't remember what Samsung I was using. So I needed this one. So now that I'm using an iPhone, I had to get an external port thing to connect it to. And then the other way, actually, before I turn to the other way, it is important to also be closer when you're using this because it's quite directional. I'll show you an example of some of the young people I've worked with and how closer they were to their protagonist when recording with this specific sound, the roads. So this is basically how close you need to be to your protagonist or the person that you are interviewing. And as you can see, you can also clip it on to your phone like this so that it's not moving. And the area has to be like really quiet because that makes a whole lot of difference. And then there's another photo that I would like to use. Even when you are outside, it helps. The windshield is quite important because it makes a whole lot of difference, especially in windy areas. So this is one of the young people in Malawi that I trained to tell their stories using mobile phones, and they were shooting an interview here. So it's quite useful. One other one that I use also most of the time is this lapel. We spoke a bit about them. So this is quite fragile and sensitive, and you just put it on to the person directly to your phone. Also quite helpful because then it is shooting the interview and it's not recording any background sounds. Because this one, if you do not put it directly, it does get to record other audio. But if you are close and you are direct to your interviewer, that will be what it's feeding off. But if you're not close, it can easily record everything. I'll show you an example of a video where one of the young people we were working with, the camera was at the back because they were getting a wide shot, and you can tell when the person is far how it sounds. So this is one of the, let me just find it. So this is one of the stories that, wait a second. The short stories that the community really wanted to document and talk about. It basically talks about how the heavy rains and the impact of climate change has affected learners in their community, and nothing has happened. So this was kind of like to start off conversations on what communities can do to support learners better in their village. It was mainly shot by them after we had a training. And this is what was one of the things that they came up with after the cell phone training. So you can hear if it's not closer, how faint it sounds. So it's quite important that you are close, especially if you want to achieve or you want to hear what they are saying. For the purposes of this shot specifically, it was just kind of like a B-roll of everything. So that's why we kind of like stationed it the way that we had stationed it. So this is basically an example of the audio that it captures. I won't show it all. I'm just using it as an example to see this was not cleaned. It was directly from this mic that they used. And it works for what they wanting to achieve with this short story that they did around supporting learners who have recently, school has been blown off by heavy winds and they don't have classes anymore. And it was quite a proud moment for them because when I got there, it was a lot of young people who didn't really have access to such gadgets or cell phones, just that opportunity to be able to be leaders in their communities. And not only that, but be the ones that interview their own community members. It does a lot if a young person from that community is the one that is coming in and interviewing their community members, interviewing their people. It does a lot in terms of representation as opposed to me coming in and just documenting and interviewing. Without them, the language is also a barrier. So with them being the leading voices to their story helps a lot with comfortability, with access, and also with achieving their goal, because the same people that they are interviewing can also be a part of the decision making that gets to be done. Teachers where they other local leaders get to engage and be a part of whatever the young people are creating. So it was quite important for me to find something that is cost effective and that is easy and friendly to use for them. Even when I'm not there, they can take their phones and connect it and document their own voices and their own stories in the way that feels right to them and in the way that represent them as young people in Malawi, because I like to believe everyone in every country has the way that their stories are reflected. I don't know if there are any questions. I think most of the things were covered by other team members. I had the DGI.
Yes.
Yeah,
There is one in the chat, but I have a question before coming to Mbabato question. You have talked about gear for sound, but can you talk us about what apps have you taught the people to use, and if there is budget-friendly apps that are free? Because there is Filmic Pro, that one is payment, and there are others that probably the ones on Apple, I'm pretty sure that there is also under payment, and I don't know if you can explain maybe further about apps that are budget-friendly.
Exactly. We touched on this also a bit last week. So one of the free apps, Blackmagic, is also free. Yes, I see Bart has put it in. Yes, Blackmagic is great app with both sound and visuals that they use. There's Open Camera, which helps with locking. That I also used as an example. So it's also a great user-friendly, whether an Android or an iPhone, to kind of like use it as a more professional tool to document so that your focus is not jumping in and out, and you can you can control your exposure and your color with that one, which is quite user-friendly and not far from the camera that you already have on your phone.
Okay, and I'm gonna read Babato's question. Do the adapters affect quality of the sound, like the one you use to attach the mic to an iPhone?
Which one? This one?
The adapters. as long as they're plugged in right, they don't have any
Yes.
effect.
Yeah. And you have to always check. We've had times where it wasn't plugged in right. And then when we listened, there was no audio at all. But it's all a learning curve. I like to think of when things like this happen, it creates an opportunity for the team to also learn. And then they know that they can redo it again. But a lot of the time, you don't have the luxury to redo it again, especially if you're interviewing like Jane's work, interviewing officials and people that are always on a hurry and they don't really want to talk to you. So it's important before you even start, just check it and make sure that it works. Because if it doesn't, it really is a loss.
And one thing about monitoring, if you have wireless headphones, earbuds or AirPods, you can monitor what you're shooting. So, which is always good. You should always hear what you're doing if you can.
Exactly. And this one has that monitoring thing where you can
it's got that plug
your
there. Yeah.
Yeah, there are three basic things before shooting: is check your gear, charge the batteries, and in this case, plug your adapter properly before shooting.
And additionally, location. Make sure that you're not in a loud space. You listen to what audio you are hearing around you so that you can have control before you even start filming or documenting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it sounds simple, but it's so important. I mean, you kick yourself when you're out there in the middle of something really interesting that could be great in a film, and you haven't, charged properly, or you're not prepared properly, and so you have to be completely disciplined about that.
Are any more questions for our speakers?
Oh, just one thing I want to add. The Adobe podcast thing really helps, but DaVinci Resolve, which is free, also has great noise reduction. So there and most modern, editing suites have really good noise reduction as well.
There is a question on the chat from Morgan Morris. What affordable post-production tools are there to improve audio? Which, it has just been responded from Bart. Yes. DaVinci Resolve Studio is a full editing, grading, and I suppose also a bit of sound post-production, and it's free. And Premiere, it is on the payment, and that there are other softwares around. If anybody knows any other that is budget-friendly and good quality.
Well, you can do some things with GarageBand, but that's pretty limited and the Adobe Premiere on mobile has, again, a little bit of noise reduction, and that's free.
Well, I was also keen to hear what Neil would use for her work in sort of post-production.
Yeah. So initially we started on iMovies, and then that was a limitation because of the different smartphones that people use. So we moved on to KineMaster. The problem that we had with KineMaster is that it had that logo unless you pay for it, but it was a great way to start training them and familiarizing them with the editing software. And by the time I introduced DaVinci Resolve, they were comfortable slightly to work in that digital space. So it's always good to start smaller, and then DaVinci is the one that we are using now for the most part to edit. Even this one was edited with DaVinci Resolve. Simply because it's free and it's accessible, it's quite easy to download, and it gets the work done very nicely. So I would recommend
there
that.
is a version of DaVinci Resolve that'll work on an iPad.
Yeah, Pablo,
yes.
It's Cheryl. Hi. I just wanted to check on Bart's book, there was a link to the book. I was wondering, while we have him, if you could just share a little bit of information about the sound book that was shared and mobile filmmaking.
Yes, he
Uh,
can he can
is
share
it?
his screen for the QR code. Are you asking for that?
No, I've got the QR. I saw it on Amazon, but I'm sure, I'll look somewhere else. But I was just wondering, sort of like an author's intro to the book itself and what it covers. Now that we've got Bart here.
Just a quick one before you go a bit. Pablo, I think you are using the alternative works, but that microphone is a directional microphone, so you'd want to turn it so that you're speaking directly to it. So we're struggling to hear you. There we go. Sorry, thank you.
A little bit of sound learning in our sound workshop.
Indeed.
I'm a camera guy. I was trying to avoid the pop.
Oh man, you're sounding much better. Now I can hear everything you're saying.
Apologies. There is one question in the chat from Charlene. What did Neo say she recommends to start off before using DaVinci?
Yeah, I tapped the message in. It's a KineMaster, iMovies, but that is for iPhone. But CapCut is also a great one to start off with. Yeah, those are the ones that I have used to help kind of like get people comfortable with the editing process because it's quite intimidating. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of years. But as someone who's starting from just cutting for impact, those are the useful ones they can use.
And by the way, if you want to learn DaVinci Resolve, they have great free training materials on their website. You can download a book and download the files, and it sort of walks you through not only the software, but it essentially teaches you how to edit. So it's a great thing for people who are learning to learn the software and to learn how to put a sequence together.
I'm not familiar, is there a way to cut on the phone, not an iPad, on the cell phone? Is there a software or any tools?
Yes. So Premiere has Adobe Premiere. There's a version that'll work on an iPhone, and that's free, and that works really well. CapCut is free, but also CapCut like takes your material and which is not a good thing. And there is DaVinci Resolve. There's a version that works on mobile devices as well.
The beauty of, just to add on that, with DaVinci Resolve, that thing is a beast. I mean, now you can use library-free music. There is an AI bot that can almost do the editing for you, sync the sound for you. So so I would recommend what Bert is saying, that look at those tutorials on YouTube, even on their site itself. There's so much that you can do now that comes with DaVinci Resolve. It's the future of the post-production, basically.
Yes, I wanted to add to what Bart has said. All these, nothing is for free in this world. All these free apps, probably they're gonna take something from you, and in this case, they can, on the small letter, probably on the terms and agreements, probably they say that they can use the footage that you have. So before you use any free app, be aware of all the consequences. So then maybe you are all aware and you accept it or not. There's a balance that we all must do when we use this kind of tools for free.
There was a question about Bart introducing his book.
Apologies, Bart.
So my book goes through the basics of shooting. It's got a lot of tips on microphones and all the other stuff we were talking about, but also about the why. There's bunches. I talk about storytelling. I talk about how to do interviews. I talk about editing. It's sort of like all the things that you need to know about that are in there. And also there's a QR code in there that I use to update it, because obviously the tools that I wrote when I wrote the book are now there are versions that are newer. And after NAB, I'll do a second update on technology. But it's really a good hands-on, and also why digital story, why it makes a difference. We talked about this earlier. You can make different kind of films. Different communities can make them. There are exercises after each chapter to sort of help you do it. It can be used in a classroom, or it can just use to sort of help you think about how to make a film.
There's one question in the chat
How
for Bart.
do we get it, Bart? How do we get it?
It's the cheapest price to get it is unfortunately through Amazon. You can get it through the publisher, but it costs like $15 more, and that's stupid.
Okay.
Because the publisher, Focal Press, is mostly focused on like academic pricing, but yeah, and that's the best way to get it.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
So let me just say this.
Yeah.
Just keep making work. The thing about working with mobile stuff is if it doesn't look good, you just erase it and do it again. You don't have to show it to anybody. And practice a lot. You know, just like get your phone, it's in your hand, something's interesting, shoot. And you don't have to show it to anybody except yourself, but practice and play. Like there's something interesting in everybody's life, and you should just shoot it. There's no excuse not to make a film anymore.
So go out there and shoot. Practice makes perfect.
Yes.
All right. So let me close this session for today. I want to thank all our 4 speakers, Jane, Bart, Bernard, and Neo, and for all the inputs, and to all our members for attending today, and all our non-members. If you are not a non-member, please be a member and be part of this network of filmmakers in South Africa. As well, this webinar will be available, I believe, in April on our YouTube channel, together with all the other webinars that we are doing. And for next week, 12th of February, at the same time, 6 to 8 p.m., we will have a webinar about exploring digital AVOD platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Substack. And in this webinar, we will dive into topics like to what extent can these platforms enhance your career as filmmaker, and what strategies are out there to monetize content available for us documentary filmmakers. So without any further comments, thank you everybody for attending today, and we hope to see you next week.